Today we are going to review the exam 1. Okay, you will have exam 1 coming up. It's on your syllabus. On the day you do the exam, I will email you the test on the day around noontime, by noon. If you don't receive it in 20 minutes, you better call me. Okay, so to make sure you get it, and then you need to turn it in by midnight at the same day. You either scan or use your cell phone to photo it and send it to me, email to me. You need to print it out so you can write it on a paper so I can see your work. So for exam 1 includes chapter 5 and chapter 7 you have learned so far. But for chapter 5, 2 by 2 to find the solutions, and it doesn't include the apps 5.4. It only includes 5.1 through 5.3. Okay, so for your exam, also we will ask you some definitions. You need to know what do they mean, right? So for the first one, what do we mean by factor, to factor? It means what? It means you write something to break down, right? You write something multiplying together. So it means to write in a multiplication. It means what? To write as a product. What's the difference? Also, you need to clarify for B, problem B. You need to clarify what's the difference between this one and this one. Often you mingle them. So actually, if you break down, this is a binomial, right? If you factor it, you will be what? Because of the difference of 2 squared, so you should have this. 1 plus 1 minus. If square x minus y squared, it means what? X minus y multiply itself twice, right? When you multiply out, you know, then this is only what? Binomial. And when you multiply this out, it ends up, you FOIL them, you have what? 2xy plus y squared. Actually, it's a trinomial. They are very different, and you need to differentiate them. Problem C. What does it mean to factor a polynomial completely? Completely means what? You need to break down to the smallest term, right? That means what? You will write the polynomial to the smallest units. That means to write the polynomial as what? As a product of very tiny units, right? Smallest units. We call them what? Prime polynomials. Right? That's what we have been learning. To break down, to write the smallest unit, and as to factor it. Remember, we have what? X squared minus y squared, you can break down, right? But if you have x squared plus y squared, what do you think? The sum of the 2 squares, this is a prime polynomial. right? We also learn what? The formula, we have what? xq minus yq, the difference of two cubes, or the sum of the two cubes. We did this. Problem D. What kind of methods of factoring, right, are good to do always? So what do you think? Which method we actually will always try? We will always what? Factoring out the GCF. Then you will follow to see if it's trinomials or binomials. Trinomials, you will do what? AC method. If it's binomial, what would you do? You will try the formulas and differentiate. If it's a sum of squares, it is a prime. So what methods do we have for next one? What methods do we have for factoring trinomial? We have been repeated many times, right? But we always do what first? You will factoring out GCF. Then you will do what? You will do the AC method, right? If we have a next one, if we have more than 4 terms when we try to factor out, right? You will use all the method you can, also all the above, right? Or factoring by grouping. You group first 2, last 2. If it doesn't work, you might switch them around, right? Until when? You always finish up by what kind of condition? Always finish up when they are all what? Right? All primes. Then we say until we finish all complete. Next one, factoring is used to solve what kind of equations? That's what we have been learning, and that's the only thing we are going to learn to solve in this class is what? What kind of equations we say? Quadratic equation. Is that right? So you will have some definitions to ask you and to figure out the details. So this review paper, we don't have the chapter 5, but it will be on your test. So usually for exam, for reviewing exams, if we do it in class, we will what? To do the hands-on for you to practice, right? So, but now it's online, so we go through it together, but make sure you practice them. Otherwise, it will be rusty when you actually do it. Okay? We are on the page 2. First one, we are going to factor the binomials, 2 terms. Do we have binomials? Right? So binomials, we say, what should we do? Use the formulas. Formulas, you have 3 formulas. We keep repeating, right? This one and this one is a prime. You cannot factor it right? And you have what? Difference of two cubes, sum of two cubes. That's the formula we use. But this one doesn't look like any of those. You cannot do it, cannot use the formulas. So what do you think? You will forget. However, you will always do what first? We say GCF, right? So you always do GCF first, which has m, so we have 5m minus 1. So that's all you can do. That would be your answer. Look at the second problem. A binomial, right? It doesn't fit in any of those. But remember again, what should we do first? GCF, which 27 and 12 will have what? 3 in common, right? Also, we have x. Then, what do we have? Take out 3x, we have 9x squared. Take out what? 3x is minus 4. Take out x, you have y squared. So 3x is a simplest form. How about this one? Still binomial. Can we use one of those formulas? Yes. So this one is what? 3x of squared, right? This one is 2y squared. So what should we have? We break down this. It should have what? It should have what? Plus and minus. So that will be your 3x and 2y, right? Then don't forget to carry down your another factor from earlier, right? To carry down your 3x. How about this one? Can we fit in one of those formulas? The cubes. So this one is what kind of cubes? 27 is 3 times, right? 8 is 2y 3 times. So we follow the formula. We say what? A cubed minus b cubed is what? A minus b, right? Then what do we have? A squared, first square, plus what? Multiply them together, and plus second thing squared, right? So your A is what? 3x. B is your 2y. So you plug in A minus B. So that would be 3x minus 2y, right? Then first one is first x. At first A, right? Take square. So that will be 3x squared. Is that right? Not really, because it's what? Whole A squared. So you need to put the parentheses around, right? Then you plus what? A times B. So that will be A times B. Then third one will be what? Second thing, take a square. Sometimes you remember first one, take a square and whole thing. But the second one, for the B, you need to do the same thing. Sometimes you forget one or the other. You need to do both. So the final answer, you need to spell it out. That would be what? That would be 9x squared plus, oh, that's y, right? 6xy plus what? 4y squared. That will be your final answer. Are we good? Okay, let's do the trinomial. We say trinomial, what kind of method? We will use AC method, right? So, two kinds. One is leading coefficient is 1, or the leading coefficient is now 1. If the leading coefficient is 1, it's easier. You can just put in directly because you don't have to worry about anything in front of the variable, right? So m times m is m squared. Then which two numbers multiplied together is -10, right? Added together is -3. What do you think? One is 5 and 2, one is negative, one is positive, right? So you can just directly write into it. That would be your answer. Do we have a trinomial? Yes. But those numbers look very big. 5, 15, 50, right? If you use AC, it looks big number. However, take a second look. We say leading coefficient is now 1. We will use what? AC method. But don't forget, we always do what first? Right? Always do GCF to make a situation easier. So you can see 5, 15, 50, you have 5. So you have y squared plus 3y minus 10. Is that right? Then it would be much easier for this one because the leading coefficient is what? 1. So you can just fit in. Minus 10, but added together is 3. So it's 5 and 2, but 5 is plus, 2 is minus. Then you also carry down your 5. That would be your answer. Right? Take a look. Next one. This one, you have x and y's. Right? But we say, don't worry about your y for now, for your class. We just do the same thing. It should work for you. So we just use AC method. What's your AC? 9 times 4, 36. B, 12. Which two numbers will work for you? Multiply together is 36, added together is 12. That would be 6. Both are positive, right? Then what do we do with AC method? We break down the middle part with the two numbers we just found it, right? Plus 6. But not only 6. What's your term? Both are x, y's, right? Then we carry down the other terms, right? Then what do we do? Grouping. For this group, what do we have in common? 9 and 6 is 3, or also have x, right? So this left is x, this left is y, right? How about for a second group? What do you have in common? 6 and 4, that would be 2, but with positive. Don't forget your sign. Also, you have y, right? For the first one, take out the 6, take out the 2 from 6, that's 3, take out y, so you have x. Then plus 4 takes out 2, divided by, take out means divided by, right? Y squared, take out the y, you have y left. Then, am I right? Oops, what did I do wrong? Take a look at the first part. Uh-oh, take a look. I forgot the 3. Take a look, it's 2, right? I was focusing on my XY, I forgot the numbers. You don't do that, right? Do what I say, don't do what I do, right? So, for these 2 groups, you have what's in common and what's left, right? So that will be your answer. Are we good on factoring the trinomials? So for chapter 7, we have been learning what? Breaking down things. It means what? To factor and to the lowest terms, right? To all the primes. Then we also learn how to solve equations, quadratic equation, right? That's what we are learning for this class. Now we just learn one method. It calls what? Factoring to solve a quadratic equation. So let's practice some more. And for this one, do we have quadratic equation? Yes, the highest order is 2. Is this a standard form? No. We always write it in standard form first, right? So what do we have? X squared minus 3x minus 40. One side is your variable polynomial, another side is 0. Then what do? We break it down to the smaller parts that we solve individually, right? So leading coefficient is 1, so you can just do it directly. Otherwise you use AC method, A times C, right? 40 can be what? Which 2 numbers will work added together is -3. That would be what? 8 and 5. 8 and 5. Which one is negative? Which one is positive? Added together is -3, right? So it would be -8 and 5. Then we'll have 2 parts. Are they all primes? Yes. Then we will do it separately. Use what? Zero product property, right? Then we solve individually. X is 8, or what? X is u minus 5 on either side. Good? Let's look at the second one. For this one, do we just directly make each one is 0? Don't do that. Why not? Because it's not equal to 0, like this. Then use zero product property, right? So one side is not 0, what do you need to do? Write as a standard form, right? So how should we start? FOIL them out to write it in standard form, right? So that would be 3x squared, x times 3x, x times 4, plus 4x. Bottom, rainbow. So -3 times 3x minus 9x. -3 times 4 minus 12 equals 10, right? Then what do we do? Combine like terms. Make it simpler. So that would be 3 squared combined minus 5x minus 12 equals 10, right? Then what do we need to do? Write in standard form. So we do that. Do we have a standard form? It is a quadratic equation, trinomial. However, the leading coefficient is now 1, so we need to use what? AC method. What's your A? 3. What's your B? -5. What's your C? -22. So you have AC is A times C, -6. And B is what? -5. So which number will work? 66 will be what? 11 and 6, right? Which one is negative? Which one is positive? So we found the two numbers. What's the next step? Split your middle term, right? So that would be -11x plus 6x, right? Then carry out those, right? Then group it. So what do we have? X out, right? So you have 3x left here and -11, right? Then for this one, you have a common factor, which is 2. So it's +2, you have 3x -11. Then, so what do we do? You break down x plus 2, 3x -11 equals 0, right? Then we use a zero product property. X plus 2 is 0, or 3x -11 equals 0, right? So it becomes, make the complicated one, second degree polynomial becomes what? All first degree linear. So you make it simpler, and resolve the simpler one. So that will be, right, -2. Then for this one, you need to add 11. So you have 3x equals what? 11. Then you divide it by 3. So your x is what? 11/3. Right? So you have 2 answers for this one. Are we okay? Let's look next one. Binomial. Can we use formula? Not really. However, remember we always do what first? GCF. So you take GCF out. What do you have? 2, right? N squared and n is n. So 4 take out the 2, to left. N squared take out n, you have n. Then 6n take out 2n, so you have 3. Right? Then you have 2 parts. Then you use what? Zero product property. Make each one is 0. Right? Then for this one, you divide it by 2. So n is 0. And for this one, you have 2n, you add 3. Solve your linear equation, right? Divided by n. So n is what? 3/2. So that will be your answer. Let's look at the number 4. Quadratic equation, but not in a standard form. Right? So we will -5 first. So make one side 0. right? Then we have a what? Trinomial. Then we do AC. So 6 times 5, negative 30. B is negative 7. Which two number will work? 3 and 10, right? So 3 and 10. Which one positive, which one negative? 10 is negative, 3 is positive. Then break down the middle part of these two numbers, right? Then carry down those and you group them. So we have here, take 6 and 3, take a 3 out. Oops, we also have x, right? So you take x out, you have x, 2x left. Then this one is plus 1. Take out all the 3x. These two, we have what? 5. But started with negative, you take negative out. So what's left? 10 divided by 5, 2, you also have x and minus 1. Right? And you put them together, 3x minus 5, 2x plus 1, right? So that's 0. Then we use what? 0 product property. 3x minus 5 is 0, or you have this one, 2x plus 1 equals 0, right? So we break down from quadratic become linear. Then we solve individually. Plus 5. So we have what? 3x equals 5. So x is what? Divided by 3, right? So we have this. Then this one, right? 2x is negative 1 divided by 2. So your x is what? Negative half. Let's take a look at this. Quadratic, because we have the variable, it has square. So first step, write it in standard form, right? Then, how do we break down a binomial? Can we use the formula? Because this one is what? AM square, perfect square, right? Both are. So you break down what? The difference of two squares. So you will be something plus, something minus, right? So that's your A, that's your B. Right? So we break down, then use 0 product property. Then you make individual one becomes 0. Then we solve it, right? So AM is negative 3. So your M is what? Divided by 8. So that would be this one. Then for this one will be divided by 8. M will be what? Positive, this one. Right? let's look at the next one. A trinomial equals 0. You need to take a look first before you start to do the AC method. If you say, oh, leading coefficient is 1, I start to break down as xx. And x times x is x squared, not x cubed. So you cannot do that. Then what? Remember, you will always do what first? GCF, and you will forget. So what's your GCF? That would be x, right? So x cubed, take out x2. 3 minus 3, x squared, take out the x, you will have x. Third term, 2x, take out x, you have 2, right? Now, that's the trinomial with the second degree. Leading coefficient is 1, so you can just do that. Which two numbers will work for you? Multiply together is 2, so 2 and 1, but added together is negative, so you do that. Also, you have x here, right? 3 parts, so don't forget your first part. So what do we have here? X is 0, this one x minus 2 is 0, this one is x minus 1 is 0. So what's your x? That's 0, right? Or this one is x equals 2, right? And this one is what? X is 1. So how many answers do we have? 3 of them for this question. Make sure you practice yourself for each one of them. If you haven't done that, following the class, you probably wanted to actually do it and check your answers to make sure you are on the right track. That would be our review.